The Democratic field is suddenly looking a lot smaller. From a cast of what seem like hundreds of people, next week's primary debate will feature only a dozen candidates. The great winnowing has begun. 13 months from now, one of these people could be president of the United States. And if that happens, what sort of country will we have? That's the question, really the only question that matters. One thing that virtually every Democrat in the race seems to be running on is more weed and less law enforcement.
Expunge the arrest records for everyone who's been arrested, and then use our clemency powers to free all those who are serving time for marijuana possession.
Expunge the records of those people arrested for possession of marijuana.
Decriminalize marijuana, automatically expunge marijuana convictions.
Legalization of marijuana, but also with an expungement to reverse incarceration is doing more harm than the original offense.
We will expunge the records of those who have already been convicted.
Ooh, the great expunging begins. So not just legalizing drugs, but legalizing them retroactively. Well, if that sounds radical, it's nothing compared to what they're planning on doing as soon as they can. Congresswoman Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez, who in effect functions as a kind of one-woman think tank for the Democratic Party, air quotes around that, is now demanding the elimination of prisons on the grounds that they are, and of course you could guess, racist. Here's the quote. Mass incarceration is a system whose logic evolved from the same lineage as Jim Crow, American apartheid, and slavery. To end it, we have to change. That means we need a real conversation about decarceration and prison abolition in this country, end quote, because, of course, there were no prisons before. Racists in America thought them up. So with no more prisons, presumably that will mean no more prisoners, right? Axiomatic. So with all those felons back on the street and in your neighborhood, hey felons, you may suddenly be a little bit concerned about protecting yourself and your family, but tough. In democratic America, self-defense will be banned because they're taking your guns.
So to gun owners out there who say, well, a Biden administration means they're going to come for my guns.
Bingo. You're right if you have an assault weapon. The fact of the matter is they should be illegal, period.
Do you believe in the mandatory buyback of quote-unquote assault weapons?
I do believe that we need to do buybacks, and I'll tell you why. They are weapons of war with no place on the streets of a civil society.
Hell yes, we're going to take your AR-15, your AK-47. We're not going to allow it to be used against our fellow Americans anymore.
That kid is so light you wonder why he doesn't blow away like an autumn leaf. But whatever. Hell yes, they're going to confiscate your firearms. And by the way, that'll make home invasions a little tougher to deal with. Lots of luck with that. Let's hope you don't get assaulted and need to go to a hospital, because in democratic America, you might find the hospitals a bit overcrowded. Why? Well, the left is giving free health care to the rest of the planet.
You support giving universal health care, Medicare for all, to people who are in this country illegally?
Let me just be very clear about this. I am opposed to any policy that would deny in our country any human being from access to public safety, public education, or public health, period.
Do you believe that undocumented people should have health care in this country?
I think undocumented people need to have a means by which they can be covered when they're sick. People need, this is just common decency.
Raise your hand if your government plan would provide coverage for undocumented immigrants.
Raise your hand if you don't want a single normal person to even consider voting for you ever. Free health care for illegal aliens. It's quite an idea. How's our already broke country going to pay for that? Here's a calculator. You figure it out. Got a headache yet? Yeah. But don't even think about heading to a bar to drown your sorrows with a cocktail and a steak. In the America of tomorrow, that will be banned too.
Do you ban plastic straws?
I think we should. Yes.
But would you support changing the dietary guidelines?
Yes.
You know, the food pyramid, what people
yes. Yes.
to reduce red meat specifically?
Yes, I would.
Yes.